Today, I'll be chatting to a woman of indomitable spirit, social worker and author of Conversations with Men, #You Were Not Created to Be Trash, Lesego Mathye. We shed light on GBV, the importance of male role models, absent fathers, and feminism. This is how the conversation went. Hi, Lesego.
Hi, Phuti.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
You're good.
It's a beautiful Monday. I'm about to have a conversation with you. So, yeah, I
I've
think I'm
been
good.
looking forward to this, so
I know.
it's exciting, right?
And a bit nervous as well. So, yeah.
We are both nervous, so let's just rock with it. Having written the book from a place of love, the whole book, written the entire book, you are gentle, you are speaking to men from a place of love. You are saying to them, guys, we see you, we love you, but can you guys love us back? So I want you to speak to that notion. Just tell us, from which view did you write the book?
Firstly, let me just put it out there that I'm a Christian. I'm born again. And as a Christian, I believe that we have to try by all means to demonstrate God's love. We need to embody God's character. So it comes from the fact that I'm a Christian at first. And like I said, as a Christian, our mandate is to love. Like the Bible says that love your neighbor as you love yourself. And sometimes love comes with trying to discipline or trying to help the other person to find their purpose, because you're looking at the other person, then you realize, oh no, man, this is not who God created you to be. The way you are behaving and the way you live in your life, you are wasting it away. This is how God would love you to live your life. So as a Christian, my job or my mandate or part of my purpose is to assist people to wake up and try to find their purpose in God, in their creator. So yeah, it comes from that.
On that part of finding God, learning this love of God and living according to that, you speak also about identity crisis, ya banna. So you speak, like you're saying, you are a Christian, unapologetically at that. So you speak a lot about men connecting with the Creator. So could you say religious institutions are actually doing their part in that regard to actually connect men with the Creator and eventually have them find their purpose or their identity, so to say?
I'm not sure if they're really doing their best to connect men with God or to assist men to find their identity in God. But now, because of gender-based violence, the rise of the cases that we're having around gender-based violence, I see more and more churches um, hosting conferences for men and just initiating programs for young boys as well to assist them in finding their purpose and finding their identity in God and teaching them because you're created by God. This is how a man is supposed to be, supposed to act as well towards women and children. So I think they're trying. But yeah, I think now they're trying.
They're trying, so it's a start. We are getting somewhere eventually.
Yeah, we're getting somewhere. So yeah, the most important thing is that we have started. So let's hope that it will yield the results that we desire.
So have you always wanted to write? Like, have you always seen yourself as a writer, or Lesego is gonna be an author at this age, or it's just something that you kind of stumbled upon?
I've always loved writing. Actually, I started writing when I was in primary. I will write, they call it journaling, but at that time, for me, it was just writing. So most of my prayers, I will write them down. I will write letters to God most of the time. I will write things that I observe and just write my opinions and my thoughts down. But when I was doing my first year in varsity, I remember this other time I was just writing the things that I would like to achieve in life. And one of those things was to write a book. So I've always wanted to write a book. I've always known, hore, yeah, writing a book is something, maybe because another thing, hore, I always thought, hore, I'm not that talkative. I grew up shy, but I've always had opinions and thoughts that I wanted to share. So for me, it was like, I think the better way for me to share my opinions is to write them down because I'm not sure if I'm articulate or I'll be eloquent enough in trying to speak. So let me just rather write.
So can we look forward to another book, or is there another one in the mix?
Definitely look forward to another book. Definitely. It's coming.
Okay. We look forward to that because your writing is thought provoking. It's encouraging. Like I said, you write from a place of love. So which means you really do want to be the change that you want to see. Speaking on GBV, child abuse, we are celebrating 16 days of activism against women and child abuse. The numbers are just they're crazy. They're just numbing, and I want to know, you are a social worker by profession. So I think you work closely with such cases of GBV and child abuse. So I want to know, Horenge, ho ya ka wena, having been in the profession for as long as you have been, would you say, Horenge, mmusho wa rena o dira ka matla a ona ka moka to really fight the scourge of GBV and child abuse? Effort ya bonahala, are they doing enough, or do we still have a long way to go?
I don't work closely with gender-based violence cases. I work closely with children in conflict with the law, but I do have a co-worker who's working in the gender-based violence unit. And I think the government is trying. Like I said, I've got a co-worker who's working in the GBV unit. So there's a unit specifically for gender-based violence cases where they work with the victim and the perpetrator, trying to assess the situation, trying to assess what caused the perpetrator to act violently towards their victim, and also trying to help the victim as well to heal from the consequences of the gender-based violence that they were subjected to. So the government is trying, but as we all know that when it comes to change, it all depends on a person. We can have programs, I'm not saying we shouldn't have those, we should have those things. We should speak up, you know, but at the end of the day, the person who is the problem has to realize that he is the problem and decide that I am going to change. I've got a friend who normally says that you need to choose whether you want to be a pain or a solution, something along those lines, a painkiller, or I forgot I forgot the saying, the quote, but I love it so much. So yeah, he said, you need to decide if you want to be a painkiller or a pain in the society. So yeah, I think we need to keep on trying. The government is really trying. Trust me, it is trying. They have a lot of programs, that gender-based violence. Right now, the 16 days of activism. The co-worker that I'm talking about, they're very busy making awareness, going into township to talk about gender-based violence, going into schools as well to talk about it. So they are trying to bring awareness and to teach boys as well on how to treat young girls, because it starts o sa le moshimane, you know. Re bona go santse le moshimane if vela o tlo gola o le monna o leng gore o tlo tshwenya basadi le bana or not. So they're trying as well.
Our hope is in young boys and young girls. So we need to instill these values. Like you say in your book, you keep emphasizing that you need young men to actually be the ones that interact with your work, interact with the will to change, wanting to change. The saying that you just gave us to say, do you want to be a pain or do you want to be a painkiller? It's about willingness. Yes. Are you willing to change? Do you want to live in a better world? Because we do need better men, we need better women. So if only women are putting in the work, then it means we have an imbalance there. So at the end of the day, I think it takes us back to that willingness, because as you speak in your book, o bolela ka taba ya having a relationship le Modimo, o ka ba le yone. You quoted Bishop T.D. Jakes, Abulela, about being born again. You can be born again, but mmele wa hao o sa na le memory of the things that you used to do. So it's on you. No, you can control yourself. Don't do this. This is the better way. So it really takes us back to tabaya willingness, really, to say, I'm willing to be a better man. I'm willing to be a better woman, and just create that balance. Because for me, I think my biggest cry ke tabaya horeng women have been, we've been on the course, like we've been doing the work and all, but we need the support of men. We can't do this alone. We need the support ya banna. We need support ya society at large, because mekgwa e leng gona ke tšela tša gore ke mekgwa e re hotseng ka yona. It's what we know. You know, when something is what you know, you only do what you know. You don't know better. So you do what you know because that's all you know. So if it's only us, we are writing the books, we are doing the conferences, we are advocating for a better society, then there really is something that's wrong. That imbalance there, it's something that I think we need to look into. So I guess my question now becomes, are men willing to change? Are they willing? I know, asking you as a woman also, but are they willing to change?
I think that's a difficult question. Are men willing to change? Some of them are willing, some of them are not. I remember this other time last year when I was promoting my book, I had an interview with this other radio FM, and one of the listeners tweeted, and yeah, I honestly didn't like what he said. You could tell from the tweet, this one is not ready to change, because that thing, you are a woman, o tsebang ka di-issues tsa banna, deal le issues tsa basadi, and o tlogele rena banna re deal le issues tsa banna. So I think if only that kind of attitude, you are not willing to change, because like you said, some imbalance. I mean, Modimo o dirile monna le mosadi, are mosadi e tla ba a helper. So part of a helper is showing the other person that smaller things they are those smaller things they discover their best, and if Modimo are this person is your helper, it means, I believe you don't have to disregard your opinions, and I believe and okay, Lena only purpose more life and purpose I go to shana or give a better person, give a same Modimo and long or give a son. So I don't think most men are willing to change. For as long as then they are not willing to change. And you can blame them. You can't blame them at the same time, because culture is the way culture patriarchy, you don't have to listen to a woman, you dominate a woman. So we still need to change mindsets. Then once those mindsets change, then maybe more and more men change. Because one of the interviews, most of the time, men who are willing to change are those who who already have a relationship with God. By a long relationship with God is hard. Because, for example, all these conferences, how you go, Jonah, for me, I feel like it's already men who are perfect or men who are already working on their journey to be perfect. But culture, how do we change the mindset of that person? So there's a lot that still needs to be done, honestly, a lot.
Yeah. We do. So I guess the thing is we just need everybody to come on board, your cultural entities, traditional entities, your churches, religious institutions, just everybody to just be on the same page and try to just really care with this whole thing, because it's to think hore bana ba rena ba holela in this kind of environment. I think for me that's the most painful thing. Dilo tse re ba rutang tsona gore like the dilo tse re ba rutang tsona gore tsela ke yana ye, when we know gore we've suffered this is not a new thing. Like we've seen it with our mothers, we've seen it with our grandmothers. It's a cycle that we need to break. So if we don't really come together on do you have your book, Mohaus? I want you to read something for us.
Yes, I have the book here.
The poem that you quoted on page 139, A Real Man by Brian Smith.
Oh yeah. You want me to read it?
Yeah, not all of it. It's long, not all of it.
Okay.
So page 141, 141 in there. Yeah, from the God who made the world. Yeah, so if you can take it from the God who made the world, just that part.
A God who made give page man 139.
141.
Okay. The God who made the world has shown examples we should seek. He gave a role for men to play since very dawn of time, and our Almighty God was never known to change his mind. I could have been the kind of man who takes all he can get and steps upon the hands of all the people that he's met. But surely there was something I have seen that they did not, for there's a reason that I tightly hold what they've forgotten. I've seen the kind of man my God would wish for me to be, and every day I try to earn this man's respect for me. He set the best example for me any father can, and I thank you, Dad, and promise that I'll strive to be a man.
So, having read that part, I want to speak to the role models. So, in your book, your God is pretty much the role model, in as much as Obolelaka, other men in the Bible, bo David, bo Joseph, by Logorege, but set the example that men use or men can look up to. Lirena, the poet here, Obolela about his dad having been a role model in bophelong ba hae. So Rena as a community, as Black people, we lack that. We don't have that balance of role models, and having, like we know already, Mitzeminshi is headed by single mothers, grandmothers and all. Banna ba hona mo gausi. So that thing, I think banna, it's something that they actually need to look into. Or what example are they setting? Whether una le ngwana or you don't have ngwana, whether you're within a family setting or not, wherever you walk, you are a role model in some sense. Like you are a role model in some sense. So I think maybe that is another thing more than anything, to say what kind of role models do we have? What kind of role models are we? So I think those are some of the questions banna because it's really it's painful. It's painful to see. It's painful to watch. How bolela le ngwana, or try to move for examples. You look at uncles, you look at brothers. How na much, like there's no positive role model ye lo goreng o ka ifa ngwana. So I think that's another thing in trying to this whole surge of GBV and child abuse, to say what kind of role models are we looking to be. So I want to ask you, Orwena, do your environment, the church, are those positive role models? Like, do you have them?
Sure, nna mo ke goletseng gona. I didn't really grow up going to church every Sunday, but okay, mo ke goletseng gona, I had the role models. I'm from a nuclear family. I had both my parents. I've got brothers. I've got cousins who are males, and I've never in my life witnessed them acting violently towards me or towards any woman or child. So, but working with, let me take it go experience yaka ya mmereko. As I've said, I work with children in conflict with the law, bana ba leng gore ba committed crime. And I could say, because I remember me and my co-workers, we once sat down just to talk about our cases, to analyze our cases. And we realized 90% of these boys, they are from families telling awona papa. It's either papa ukotronkong or papa just decided go iphelela life ya gang. And re kgonne go bona gore between bana ba leng gore papa o ona but o ba rejectile le ba leng gore papa na le ona but o tlhokofetse, behavior is different. I think by leng gore papa o tlhokofetse, they get to realize gore there's life and death. So they get to a point where they accept gore papa na le ona modimo o mo jere, and I just have to heal. But by leng gore they were rejected, they made me realize rejection is a powerful demon. Knowing that there's someone out there who's supposed to father you but decided to do the opposite, it can really break pelo ya ngwana, especially ngwana wa moshimane le ngwana wa ngwanyana. So go bolela nnete, bana ba gona no a bana di role model, especially ba bashimane a bana di role models tse sharpo. Rate ya absent fathers, I don't know, it keeps on growing. Instead ya gore e fokotsege, it keeps on growing. So I don't know gore re ka solve jwang, So yeah, talking from experience ya mmereko, nkare no, the role models are di gona for bana ba bashimane.
Ne re sa bolela ka taba ya role models, positive role models specifically, gore re a di tlhoka in our communities, in our families, everywhere that we go, re shorta positive role models. So with that, I want us to go into chapter 6 of your book. Anya.
Chapter 6 of my book.
Yes, of men and fatherhood. So
all right,
I'm just going to read. I'm gonna read the first paragraph.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, sharp.
Yes, I'm there.
Chapter 6 of Men and Fatherhood. A study of absent fathers in 2013 discovered that South Africa has the highest number of absent fathers in most children's lives. The 2017 survey found that the biological fathers of 61.8% of children younger than 18 were absent from the household, and the reported figure in 2016 was 62.2%. This simply means that most fathers do not live with their children. 62.2% in 2016. It's a staggering number. It's a crazy number. So how lebelela morago with how things were. You had our mothers and grandmothers, and you have our fathers displaced because babereka in towns far away from Kohai. So you could say they were absent fathers by circumstances. It wasn't really a choosy for most of them, because of apartheid, colonization. They were forced out of their communities, out of their homes, and then by end up by absent fathers. It wasn't really a choosing of their own, you know. So that became something it became, and then it goes on into generations. Now how do we miracle, you have to leave your village, or yeah, mahoe, that's what's happening. But now Rena, we are, I could say, our generation, and maybe a generation or two before Rena, our circumstances are different. Obviously, we are still suffering from the consequences of colonialism and apartheid. Mara, we have better resources compared to Batswadi Barena. We have better knowledge compared to Batswadi Barena. So to have absent fathers, the way absent fathers were at the figures that it's at, it's a really worrying thing. So I want us to speak to that, to say, what's wrong with us? Like, what's wrong with our generation? Why are we continuing that cycle? And it's detrimental to our well-being, to well-being of Anabarena, but we are still following in those footsteps. We are where I know gore banna sitse ba fitlhirile mo stating sela sa gore they can open up, they can admit their weaknesses, ba be vulnerable to an extent. So you have a case mo you find a father is not employed, they are not employed, so they feel that because financially are stable, then motho ha sa ba present in the child's life just because there's financial instability. So I really want us to speak to that, to say, like, what are we missing? What are we missing with the resources that we have, with the spaces that we are creating, to say, no man, even if it's not silo, wow, give them love, give them emotional support. That's all that matters. So what are we missing really? Like, already number absent fathers, dear.
They're absent fathers because of by circumstances, or because I just remember but growing up, it's about okay, Papa Verka Gauteng, but I've never really seen him as an absent father, because every month he will come home and he will give me the love and show me the love in Nyaka. So with our generation, going back to your question, what is wrong with our generation? I think there's a lot of things, I have had conversations with men, even women, ba eleng gore, ba goletse in an environment eleng gore no gona le mma le papa, mma le papa, they are married, and o tlo kwa ba bolela mantswe a gore nah, I don't want to get married, ke no nyaka go ba le ngwana. And how much are, but why don't you want to get married? Because we're not in a structure where both parents are married. And but yes, my parents were married, but they were never happy. They were always fights. They were always, so some of the things, like you said, I like what you said, some are absent fathers by circumstances. So I think that's also another circumstance. I used to see my father doing this and this, and it affected us as kids. So I don't want my children to go through the same thing. I'd rather be a father on weekend or once a month, whatever the case may be. But I think far away from Yena, that's for me, that's healthy. Than and then be toxic towards bana, because it end up bana le bona ba gole got that mindset that okay, this is how relationships and marriage are done, so they don't see anything wrong with that. Another thing, it could be I think it's all about love. As a young father, did you receive love from your father? Now do you understand what's being a father? Because if you don't understand what's being a father, then you are not going to do it the way we did and you know. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, but I think I'm getting there.
You are. We're still on the same page. We're still on the same page. So I like Tabagoro, you touched on marriage. Taba ya nuclear families. Bontsi ba rena re nagana gore growing up in a nuclear families means gore things are perfect. You find batswadi e le gore they want to separate, like there's no longer love amongst bona, but ba reng we are sticking it out for the kids. Hunting, sticking it out for the kids, you are harming the kids in doing that. You sticking it out, the toxic, and sometimes you guys don't see it as parents because as I what can actually introspect what I'm doing is wrong, is toxic. So a marriage, nuclear families, and all that. You can have, but they're separated, they had a child, but after having had a child, things don't work out. But the parenting relationship works out. Romantically, yes, but somehow they still manage to create a healthy environment for the sake of the child. Yes, for the sake of the child. So how you find people nuclear families, but 50 years, however long it is, I don't want marriage because that's the model e ba e boneng ya marriage goreng in as much as ba le kaofela mara go bo se monate. And also when you gave us an example ka ko gae kwa goreng you had your father in as much as ne a berekela gole, but ha tlile hae ne ile ela goreng you feel the love gore papa o tlile o gona a se ela goreng re a motšhaba. We know goreng family we have the uncles ba gore a tlile re a motšhaba he papa tlile, like everybody's on their best behavior goreng papa o tlile, so we can even le bo mma like they are on their best behavior because bo papa ba tlile this weekend, malome o tlile this weekend. So those things like there's a fear, like there's this sense of fear also, like iba o ka reng to banna, like lerato la bona is in a form of fear. I don't even know if saying gore ke lerato is the right way, but like they and they do that with fear, like that fear goreng pain, the man of the house is here, and then now everybody has to tiptoe around them, which is not healthy. So next thing, that's what you do. You go into varsity, you go into the corporate world, you're tiptoeing around everyone because you can't express yourself, you can't be yourself, so ochaba such things, because of that fear. Bopaparna bana leon or our uncles, whatever male figures we have. I wanted to speak to something you don't really like identifying with taba feminism. I know you don't like the title.
I think maybe the reason because I like it title, I understand it. Well, people have identified me with the title because of the book and because of the things that I post on WhatsApp. So apparently I'm a feminist. And I'm proud to be a feminist. I mean, Chimamanda Ngozi. Should all be feminists, so.
Yeah, we can all be feminists. It's not a gender thing. It's not a gender thing.
No, it's not a gender thing. It is really not a gender thing.
I want us to speak to that, So I read a quote on Facebook. It was by who? Apiwe Ore. Feminism loves you even when you don't love it. So feminism loves you even when you don't love it. Yes, so that's what I wanted to show you. You remember when we started our conversation, I said to you, this book is like a love letter. It's a love letter to men, So I was prepping for the interview. I kibadile Bell Hooks's The Will to Change, So Obulela about horenge, we only identify to men on the notion of violence. Like the only relatability to men is violence. You know, like the example that I just gave ka batswadi ba rena, you know, like re a ba tshaba, re tshaba banna. Even when you love a man, but there's still also that fear ela le tshogonyana lela le ona, so we relate to men in that regard. So I'm just thinking, you know, whether we look at it from a feminist lens or whatever, and you know, feminists always get backlash, but if you guys hate men so much, why are you in relationships with them? Like, why le jona, why le ratana, why le bana bana? You guys still choose men, but you hate them. And which is really like, it's utter nonsense, because feminism isn't about hating men, you know. At the essence of it all, it's about equality and just creating a better world for everyone. Because another thing that we don't see, patriarchy doesn't only affect basadi, it doesn't only affect marginalized group. The fact that as a man you can't speak up, that's patriarchy. It has you by the balls, you know. The fact that you can't seek help, that's patriarchy. And then you come and think that no, ke basadi, like they hate us, they don't want us, hashtag a trender, and then everybody's like, no, not all men. But then what are you doing? If not all men, when are the other? How are you showing us love? Like, how are you being allies? So I want us to speak to love. Like, I want us to speak. Your book is a love letter. So feminism, it has that. You know, it can be love. Like, we can love this man.
We love them.
And
That's
actually,
why
we do.
love them.
Thank you. We love them already.
You can't be in a relationship with a man if you don't love a man.
Thank you.
We just don't love behavior yabona, you know,
Yeah.
towards us. But yeah.
So the problem is there, like that line, yeah, love. Like, can holokela love in our politics, you know, whether it's feminism or whatever politics, womenism that you identify with. I think if love ikaba at the forefront, I think that's you could actually change a lot of things. Bukaya how, I mean, God is love. We know that God is love. So I would like to think, or if Mona agabali that relationship with God, or just going back to themselves and introspecting and all that, loving themselves as they are, even with their mistakes and all, just loving themselves, then maybe we will be able to identify with that love side ya monna. Yes, we think violence, you know. So just for Bona to know, like, love is possible, you know, like they can love, and they shouldn't, you know, be afraid of this love. So yeah, I just let's speak on that love. Like, I want us to speak.
I also read that book, Bell Hooks, and I think I like what she said. There's a part where she says, what men don't understand, like you said, what men don't understand, patriarchy somehow e ba dirile gore e ska ba banna ba eleng gore modimo ba creatile gore ba be bona, botsebotse e ba dirile gore ba be out of touch le the emotions tsa bona. And culture as well. I mean, culture, patriarchy, I think there's just a thin line there. Maybe it's one and the same thing. Let me go back to my upbringing now. I just want to, I don't know, maybe this point will make sense, but I hope it will make sense. Our parents as well, our mothers as well, I think they instilled that fear or papa. Put that thing papa had, you know, Vela, like you said, you have to act in a certain way. You know, I only realized story and I think they want to embrace us, but patriarchal culture emotions, you know. Because I think I only got to realize my father was not actually a bad person. Varsity. Because I came varsity, that's when Nale and I we started to interact more because he was still working in Joburg. We will meet Carlton Center for ice cream, for lunch. And I was like, how? God, this man is so cool, you know? And growing up, I will make jokes. Then one day I realized, oh, hi, man. Patriarchy early culture, you know, that moment or the memories papa the time I was in primary school. In primary school, papa or sit on his laps, you know, because it was something like, hey, you need to fear him, like you said, or you need to fear him. So how can we demonstrate love, or how can men demonstrate love? Like you said, man, Hori, having a relationship with God or doing some introspection, because not all men grew up with a father figure or a good role male model. So their male model might actually be God. Their only role model might actually be God. So for them to understand and to know who they need to know and understand character ya Modimo, you know. And I think that would be the start of them learning how to love and how to demonstrate love.
Yeah, so all we need is love. All we need is love.
Love, God is love, and He created us out of love. The fact that we are here today is because He loved us. You know, He wanted us to be here. And if you love something, you will want it to be here. If you love something, you won't kill it just because it's a woman. You won't rape it just because it's a woman. You when you love something, you cherish it, you embrace it, and you create an environment for that thing to flourish, to grow, and be the better version of themselves. So yeah, all we need is love.
I love that. So, love, because sometimes, I find it funny that you have, like, when it comes to causes involve where women are at the forefront, so to say, like when you have causes of GBV, child abuse, causes in the LGBTQ community, like women are at the forefront. We are marginalized groups. So you hardly have men, like there are allies here and there, but you hardly have men being part of those revolutions, saying we are going to fight with you and all. And then we go into causes like racism, we are decolonizing this and that. Men are there in the forefront. We are there next to them, supporting them. And I ask myself, if you guys, clearly you're doing this, wanting to fight racism, decolonialism, whatever, it's because there's a love that you have for your country, there's this patriotism in you. I'm fighting for my country because I love it. So why can't you put in that same energy in movements they are like if women are saying, it's women, like we are mostly the victims of the crime that we speak of. So if this is what's happening, why can't you love us enough to say, we'll stand by you, like we hear you, like just listen. To listen is a love language, like now on social media we are always speaking about this podcast, love language, I want to be loved like this and that. But if men could also practice that, to say that same love by invest in the revolutions they believe in, why must I invest like that same energy in our revolutions as well? Because at the end of the day, we can't make it out to the other side without each other. That's just the long and short of it. Like we need each other. We need, for as long as we coexist, we need each other. So I like that love. I feel like if they could really understand a revolution is about love, just that love, maybe then they could see things we actually do have that in us. We can love. I mean, what are we without love even? You know, because for anything, or we dire, or we fedge. You said something, Gamu, that I liked. You said something that I liked. Ukota Dr. Miles. How quote Dr. Miles. Something about anger, to say if something angers you, if something else when like it keeps coming back to you, it means you have to deal with that thing, you know, like if something like it means it's either it's your course, like run with it, do something about it. So even with love, I'd like to think love, it's a feeling, you know, it's it does something to you, you know, like it doesn't leave you. So if we could really, yeah, it doesn't. So if we could really approach Dilo with that thing of love, then maybe, like, first and foremost, love. You talk feminism, think love, like whatever revolution, like maybe if we could think of it katselane way, then maybe no government hope, like everybody would be, or most of us would really be hopeful to say, do it with love, you know, fight side by side with me with love, like love me enough to be part of my revolution.
I think maybe the reason men are not involved in revolutionary feminism, I don't know. I think maybe they think we try to threaten. I don't know. It's like we're threatening their role,
privilege.
or we want to, their privilege, or we want to take up the role of a man. And I think they don't understand what feminism is. Maybe they need you to teach them what feminism is, because feminism, for me, is fighting for equal rights between both genders. You know, is not only, I don't know, it's not about us wanting to take the role of a man. Come on, I mean, I think you read my book where I talk about husband material. I think there's a point where I say I'm glad when I'm not a man, because purpose, being a husband is bigger, because you have to love like Christ loved the church. You need to sacrifice a lot of things. So why would we want to be like them? Because one assignment for me, I feel like is just big. For me, the assignment is too big. So no, we don't want to take up their role, but we are saying we need equality. We need equality. We need to be heard as well. You know, I mean, the Bible, they were powerful. But Esther, you know, Esther was a queen, and the things that she did to be a queen, come on. So it goes to show hore Modimo asar fela hore banna ba tlo dominator hore ba re beele fase. We can use our talents, we can use our skills. You know, we are part of this world, and there's a lot of things that we can give out to this world. The situations imagine if there was na feminism. Do you think I don't think I was going to write this book. You know. So yeah, like Chimamanda said, we should all be feminist. So I think they need to understand what feminism, it is not here to take up their role. Feminism is not here to hate on them, but it says we need to work together. And for us to work together, we also need to be in those spaces where they were only meant for banna.
So maybe, Ivile, we should do another one of these interviews, just especially for feminism, and just speak about it. Maybe we should do that. I think we should.
Like you said, I used to shy away from this term, feminism, but now I'm starting to embrace it. Yeah, I'm a feminist.
And I hope it's not us. I hope we didn't impose it on you.
You did not. There were times where I would sit down and think and be like, yeah, I am a feminist.
Yeah, and you know,
but not the feminist understand not that one, like you said.
They don't understand the feminism. They need to learn about feminism.
No.
And
They need to learn about it.
I was having a conversation with my little sister recently. Now like feminism as if it's a new concept. It's not. It's not a new concept. It's just that now with studies coming on, like now we are documenting the law differently. Rena as Black African people, we are an oral people, like the law. Like documented things like we do now with text. So now because they are documented in text, these concepts are new. But I look at my upbringing, I look at my grandmother and I'm like, my grandmother has been a feminist. I look at my mother now, I'm like, this woman is a feminist.
And what I'm about to say, it might come out as wrong or controversial. And I would like to think, okay, I'm about to say it. Can I say it? Say it. I think somehow Jesus was also a feminist.
He was.
You know what I'm saying this? I'm saying this because I got a fresh perspective through interview TD Jakes and Stephen. Stephen was interviewing TD Jakes on his book Don't Drop the Mic. So I remember TD Jakes saying, Hore, there's a reason why Jesus, when he rose, there's a reason why he made sure because back then apparently women were not supposed to address men, but because is it Mary Magdalene or I don't know who saw Jesus, but then after seeing after one almost, there's no way you can keep that that story to yourself. You needed to go and tell people, this is what I saw. So when TJ said that, I was like, Jesus actually utlile equality, man. Utlile basadi le banna hore mosadi le ena o important, man. Women can be great and they can have a powerful message that it can actually be impactful and change the world. So that message that she had, that was a powerful message. It changed, the world. So
what I like about these new movements they are coming up, they give us a fresh perspective. So now me and you, for example, we are able to look at books like the Bible, ancient books, with a fresh and new perspective. And then with that, we are able to see new messages, like hidden, you could say hidden, because I carry, when the Bible is brought to people, there's always a mandate. It doesn't matter, it's in what church, that church, whatever religious institution, Bible, they have their own mandate. In as much as the overall figure Jesus, the gospel of Jesus Christ, but at the end of the day, mandate. So if one religious institution in basadi ba be submissive, that's the message they are going to preach. If banyaka they want to preach freedom, that's the message that they are going to preach in relation to Jesus. So now us viewing the world in the way that we view it, we are able to see, like you're saying, that message from Jesus. And that isn't always preached. Like stories we only get them like maybe August, like you have conferences, that's only Ruth, Esther, but otherwise they're hardly ever spoken of. So I think maybe then we can actually match our beliefs and these new movements that are coming up and eventually really have a better world. So I like that you pointed that out. So we are going to wrap up. We're out of time. We are out of time.
We had such a nice conversation.
I know, which is why I'm saying we need another one on feminism, just in jail. So just to wrap up, your last chapter, booking final words of encouragement. So give us that, just 30 seconds, just final words of encouragement to young boys, to young girls, to anybody that's going to see this final words of encouragement from Lesego.
Wow, where do I even begin? Geez, I just feel like spotting. More life, we're not promised for life it was smooth, right? Even the Bible says for it, we're gonna face trials and tribulations. So whatever that you're going through out there, it is not meant to destroy you, but Hanshi, it is meant to make you stronger and more wiser, and find a solution to the problem why face, so that other people by sky face, or if by face we overcome. I mean, you know my story, you know the trials that I had, you know the cross that I had to carry, and it is through that today really this book. I don't think or if it's the thing that happened to me, I don't think you know. So whatever that is happening in your life, it is not meant to destroy you, but it is meant to make you evolve for a better vision of yourself. And as I was saying, you are not here by mistake. I don't care how you got here. I don't care if your parents think you're a mistake, but the fact that you are here is because God wanted you to be here, and there's an assignment that He has for you, you know, and it is only you who can carry out that assignment. So yeah, go out there, guys, and be great. Do it afraid. Like I always say, whatever it is that God has put in your heart, if it is writing a book about men and you're a woman, just do it. You'll never know. It doesn't matter if I reach Banaba 100, but Oksala, it will get you a conversation with Phuti, like I'm having a conversation with Phuti right now. So whatever it is that God has put in your heart, do it afraid. And whatever it is that makes you angry, it means you have to solve it. Like Dr. Maya says, you have to solve it. Like Chimamanda says as well, Hori. You know, she says she loves anger because anger has the power of bringing about change.
Thank you for that. So yes, do it afraid. Whatever it is that is just bugging you, do it afraid. So thank you so much for this, Lesego. This was amazing. I don't want to lie. This was just, and we have limited time. We could go on and on. Thank you so much for making the time. Thank you for honoring the invite. It was really amazing. I appreciate you so much. Continue doing the great work that you do. I love you so much, and hopefully we do this again soon, yeah?
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.